This episode is sponsored by Overcast, a better podcast app than whatever you are using right now, unless it's Overcast. Get Overcast for free on the App Store, and we thank them for their support. You're listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location at Cards Against Humanity in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Rye the Movie Guy. And sitting alongside us in the fish tank is Filmy and Phil.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we take Natalie Portman and we put her underneath the microscope as we cover our top 3 favorite Natalie Portman performances.
There's a lot to choose from.
Amazing filmography she has going.
She does. She picks good projects, except for that one with Ashton Kutcher.
And we'll get to that. Maybe
right.
we'll talk about. Maybe we'll have a time to talk about a few of her duds.
Her turkeys.
But it was interesting doing the research, as we always say each and every week. We picked this actress because she has a new movie coming out, and I thought, all right, this is going to be pretty good. And then when you really start thinking about her career, wow. And she's still quite young, and what a filmography she has. I was blown away.
Yeah, she's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah. We also have a great guest who's going to be joining us this week, don't we, Matt?
We do. Brad Elmore is here. He's a filmmaker from Oregon. He's got some micro-budget features and some new stuff coming out. So.
Yeah, you said here, but he's going to be calling us from Skype.
Correct.
Yes, and from...
It's the Royal here.
Oh, nice.
On the podcast.
Right. But we'll tease the... jawheads who are listening and just say he'll be calling in from somewhere that is a location of a very famous movie.
One of the best movies of all time.
Okay. Just tease it right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Besides that, we have a whole lot more going on, don't we, Phil?
Yeah, we sure do. We're also going eye for an eye on Annihilation.
Yeah. That's the Natalie Portman tie-in.
Well done, Ryan.
And Matt, this week we have a poll question. Looking forward to the month of March as we have many big releases. We asked the Jawheads what they're looking forward to seeing the most in the month of March.
And in lieu of Cinema War, we have 2 reviews this week. We're going to review Black Panther and Early Man.
Nice. And there is another new movie opening up. This one a comedy with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams entitled Game Night. So I thought this is a good time for Matt to take Brad on in Jason Bateman, Rachel McAdams movie trivia.
Oh, God.
All right.
Could have picked just one or the other.
Maybe they're the same person.
Who knows?
You don't know. We'll see where trivia leads.
Okay.
Yeah. So without further ado, Matt, we do bring in our guest. As you mentioned, he is a director of such films as The Wolfman's Hammer and an upcoming project entitled Boogeyman Pop. Brad Elmore, welcome to Cinemajaw.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yes, absolutely. I teased here that you are going to be phoning in Skype from a location that maybe some jawheads, if you just said the name of the town in Mexico, maybe they would know it from a movie. Where is it?
Well, I'm calling in from Zihuatanejo.
Let that soak in. Yeah, let that soak in for a second. One more time.
Zihuatanejo.
I think I know what it is, Matt.
I think they mispronounce it in the movie because that's not how I remember it being said.
I think I mispronounce it because I'm a moron, so I wouldn't trust me. And I think we're building this up. It's not like I'm calling from the set of Jaws or something. It's just
honestly, dude, I think it's cooler because that is probably my favorite movie. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Like I get asked that all the time. What's your favorite
I'm calling
movie?
from Pinewood Studios, you know, like.
Right, but it is.
We got to spoil it. Yeah, I mean that's the beach that Morgan Freeman goes to meet Andy Dufresne in
the Shawshank
Redemption. Yeah,
and it looks nothing like that. That is not what this place looks like. It is very much more like describe it more like Y Tu Mama Tambien, where it's Mexico.
Uh-huh.
It's not breezy windswept grass and white sands and stuff. I don't know where they shot that. Arizona? I don't know where they put that together, but
I don't think there's an ocean in Arizona. I could be wrong though.
there might be a lake though, you know.
True. So, Brad, as we had mentioned, you are the director of The Wolfman's Hammer, and you have this new film getting ready to come out, Boogeyman Pop. But take us back. How did you get involved in filmmaking?
Oh, well, it's just something I knew I was going to do from when I was a little kid, and I just kind of went full steam ahead. And, you know, classic story, making movies with my friends. I just very fixated on it from when I was young. When I was 18, I moved down to LA, decided, hey, I'm going to go direct movies. I skipped the whole film school thing, skipped the whole college thing because financially, fiscally wasn't really going to happen. And plus I had shit grades and I just wasn't really a fan of school to begin with. But I should have done it because that's where you network with people. So I spent the first 5 or so years just kind of learning how to write, figured I could do that every day. And trying to keep up with the people I knew were going to school by just doing everything I could, learning everything I could on my own. I at one point put up a Craigslist ad like, hey, I'll edit your movies. And I was using my friend's, at the time, brand new Final Cut Pro 6. I didn't even know how to use it. And I'd post these really cheap rates, and I didn't know they were cheap. And I would get these guys sending me stuff, and I just dove in. And it would take me forever, but that's how I learned that.
All right,
And,
I gotta ask. This begs another question here because that's a kind of a ballsy move. I mean, what kind of footage are you getting with this Craigslist ad?
UCLA shorts, a lot of short films, a lot of people's stuff from
Just students.
Students, people making pilots. It was all over the place because everybody wants to be a director and not a lot of people want to focus on post. But I just wanted to learn anything, and I had this program sitting on my friend's computer, and I just thought, well, let's see what happens. And that's how I learned it. That's how I learned to edit. Was doing that. It was funny because I think they were really doing it because they're like, really, $50? That's cheap. Well, let's give this guy a shot, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong for $50.
No. And then, real quick, don't want to get too much into it. Right around the time I was gaining a little steam, kind of writing, I got really sick, and I kind of spent most of my mid-20s in the hospital.
Oh,
so
geez.
With a degenerative sort of nerve thing. But I got lucky. I got surgery, got meds, got out of it. But I had to go back to Oregon, tail between my legs, you know, just like, well, I got so close to that type of sick you don't wish on other people.
Yeah.
I got into that kind of thing where it's like, I guess this might be the end. And when I got out of it and I went back home, I just decided, well, you know what? The rug can be pulled out at any moment. It doesn't matter how hard you work or who you are or what you've done to deserve nothing. It don't matter. So I might as well just make a movie. I'm just going to make one. So over the course of a year and with my best friend, Greg Hill, we made The Wolfman's Hammer. And I found a really talented DP locally, Neil Costello, and we used a T2i DSLR, and I maintain it's the best looking DSLR T2i movie ever made. It just is. I mean, it just is. Show me the T2i footage that looks better than ours, you know. And it was a hard, long winter. It was a serious undertaking, and nobody in the movie had really acted before, and got that movie done. I only had enough money to put it into one festival, didn't get in, so
Oh man.
heck with it. I can't, because when we were making the movie, I had 2 jobs. I was baling hay and I was working at a horse ranch. So
And just doing movies on the side.
yeah, I just get it together and just with you know, my director of photography and the actors, and just piecemealing this thing, and I just knew it was going to get finished. You know, I put all my money and all my time into it. And
How long did it take you?
About a year.
Okay.
And but the good news is I just threw it up on YouTube because I just wanted it to be seen. I figured, you know, whatever. It is what it is. I just want it to be out there, and I can't afford to put it in any more festivals. And luckily for me, it got seen by Chris Weitz, and he liked it, and he reached out, and he kind of took me under his wing a little bit, and then I came back to LA and got back into writing and went through development on a few more projects, and that learned the hard way that things can go so far and get actors attached and just fall apart at the last moment. And so finally I decided, well, I did it once, I'm going to do it again. So I, with Chris EP in and just kind of threw another micro budget together, a much more robust budget than the Wolfman's Hammer, which was $10,000, and made Boogeyman Pop. And 2/3 of the way into that, after an Indiegogo that failed, a studio came in and picked it up and financed the rest, so we can finish it. And I can't name the studio, but it rhymes with Dumb House, you know. So
Not giving too much away.
Could be anything. I mean, can you narrow it down for us?
Yeah.
But give us the and the jawheads who are listening the premise of Boogeyman Pop.
Okay, so it's kind of like Halloween by way of the Virgin Suicides, I guess. It's like if you took like those like River's Edge or those teenage hangout movies, those like gritty, raw, feeling like you're there, kind of like Slacker, and there's horror movies peripheral to them. So it's 3 interlocking stories, but the horror is like a patina. It's like in Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, what do the neighbor kids think about what happened? The people who aren't in on the plot.
Oh, I see.
Who are just peeping through the keyhole and then trying to piece it together and running up against the weirdness of it. And it's like how Pulp. I hate to use this reference because he's a very referenced filmmaker, but how Pulp Fiction's a crime movie that isn't about crime. It's about the people who sort of inhabit the genre world.
Sure.
This would be like, it's like the teen horror movies, but the world around the edges, and it's just about leaving your hometown. It's that's what it is. It's just
that's a fantastic pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Piqued my
really want to
interest.
see it.
Yeah. Now, what you said is that the Wolfman's Hammer is out on YouTube. So for our listeners that are listening to this, they want to check out Wolfman's Hammer. It's still out there to be viewed?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm still, it's the best thing I'll ever do just because I don't think anything else could be harder. So no matter, it's all its flaws and all its warts and everything, I take full responsibility for anything that somebody might think is wrong with it, but I'm immensely proud of it. And anybody out there who wants to make movies, they're never going to hand you the keys. Just assume nobody woke up wanting to help you in Hollywood. They don't want to help you. Just make the darn thing, and it'll do you better than not.
Yeah, it's a real Hollywood movie, like in the movie room.
Yeah,
exactly. No, I think there's so many people out there that need that kind of advice. At the end of the day, you just have to do it and
right.
Go through the pains and get it out there and accomplish yourself and say, hey, I did this, and now let's get on to the next project.
Right, and learn to write for research. Writing is key. A good script you can drop a camera on. Nobody cares about your FX reel or anything like that, or the tech. It's not the brush. It's the painter, So, learn. There's a story outside your window. You don't have to, approximate things. I think a lot of times with inexpensive movies, DSLR films or student films, they feel like an approximation of a real movie. Or even the way they try to capture footage, how do we make this look more cinematic? The answer is make a compelling digital image. Don't try to approximate a different format.
Sure.
And I mean, just hire the best people you can that you can work with, and you got to be your own motivator, and you just got to look out and say, there's something happening. Everyone's going through a story. Tennessee Williams will never go out of fashion because the politics of human want are always fashionable. Somebody wants to sleep with their neighbors. Somebody wants to, beat up their brother. It's always there,
Sometimes both.
Yeah.
In the same night.
But very well said, man. I think it's inspiring, frankly.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, one question I want to get to asking all our guests from this day forward for the rest of the year, Matt, is I want to know, what was the last great movie you watched?
The last great movie I watched?
Yep.
Not one that I just thought was, meh.
Right.
Oh, I watched a movie. Does it have to be recent release or?
Yeah, could be whatever you want.
Okay, I watched a movie recently called Shoot the Moon.
Interesting.
And it's a Bo Goldman script, and I cannot, for the life of me, remember the director right now.
Throw it in the jaw box, Phil. Who directed Shoot the Moon? Okay. Go on.
It's
We'll look it up.
Mark Rydell. Is it Mark Rydell? Anyway, it's with Albert Finney, and it's Diane Keaton. It's the best Diane Keaton performance. It's one of those movies that feels like it was in production in the 70s and just happened to come out in the 80s because it has more of that. It's like Kramer versus Kramer, but more for the guts. Like it's going for the dirt and the grime in people, but also the sort of like the mythic in people as well. Those sort of like the sort of beautiful qualities, when there's a haze of nostalgia to it in moments, but it gets messy. I was just floored by it, and I thought it was fantastic. He wrote, I believe he wrote Melvin and Howard as well, Bo Goldman, and a few other gems. Was it the Flamingo Kid?
Oh, nice. Okay.
I've seen Flamingo Kid. It's been a long time, but
yeah, no doubt. Now, Brad, we like to end all of our guest interviews with some silly cinema cues, get to know the guest through the eye of the lens. Phil, do you got something for Brad?
I do, Brad. So I actually have two questions for you. And then the first one, you can actually tag team with one of the guys because you had mentioned that you were moving hay on a horse farm, and we actually have an in-house horse expert in Rye the Movie Guy.
I was just bailing it. I was just grunt work. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I guess that doesn't. It doesn't matter too much for the question. That might actually be easier because I tried to think of like what horse would you want to work with from the movies, but that would be too easy. So I picked which one of these movie horses in a horse race that aren't actually horses.
this is getting convoluted, Phil.
Well, so
I'm in. Let's do this.
The choices that I had were the weird alien horses from the new Star Wars or the zebra from Racing Stripes. Which one would be better to work with if you didn't get picked to be the horse guy?
I'm allergic to whimsy, so I'll take the zebra. I don't want to ride no fantasy creature. I want a real animal underneath me.
Here.
What is Racing Stripes? What is that? That's the movie with the kid, right?
With
she races
Frankie
the
Muniz.
zebra.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Frankie Muniz?
Yeah.
Funny.
Okay.
So you would have to put up with Frankie Muniz too. That's
Wait, is that the kid from Malcolm in the Middle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a race car driver now, ain't he? He's like, went off the grid and just started, crashing cars. I
love
don't blame him.
Poor Malcolm. What else you got, Phil?
All right, and then the second one, this one's a little bit more run-of-the-mill. So Boogeyman Pop is about the everyday citizens of teen horror movies. If you could be neighbors with
grungy teenagers. The grungy teenagers, it's like River's Edge. I get your point, though. What's
but like the people who live in this world. If you could live in the world of any horror movie monster or murderer, who would you pick and why?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Live in the world of any horror film?
Oof. Yeah, that's a good one.
Gee whiz. That's gonna. Oh man. Oh, I know I'm gonna say one and then regret it later. Because that is. I would want to live in the world of Jason Lives.
Yeah.
Just because I want to run through the woods and hear cheesy '80s Alice Cooper and. Just that movie's so fun. That one just figured out a formula that was like, it was like Scream before Scream, and it's kind of an action movie. And it like whenever somebody visualizes what they think Jason is, they're usually thinking of Jason from Jason Lives. I think.
I agree. Wait, just so I make sure I'm thinking of the same one. This is the one where Tommy's grown up and he sticks the lightning rod into Jason.
The lightning brings him back to life, which is just that is pure pop mythology. That's mythic and perfect and ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh,
it is
for sure.
just
Frankenstein's monster, right?
That's like number 4, I believe, right?
No,
it's like a
dude, it's
Slurpee.
the 6th
It's
or
just
7th.
perfect.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Let's throw that in the jaw box. It's definitely after 5 because 5 was
It's 6.
Oh,
it is 6. Okay.
Jason Lives is 6.
The one that came after that was a piece of crap with the psychic girl.
That one was garbage. Yeah,
it really was. They got it just pitch perfect with Jason Lives.
I think so.
Listen to these
Nobody
guys.
ever agrees with me on this, and I rarely get to talk about pop horror.
Because the hacks always go for 4, man. They're like, 4 is always the one for them because when he's a little kid and he fights Jason. And it's
Wait,
I'm
wait.
telling you, Lives is the shit.
I
Jeez.
agree. No, I'm with you on that.
Good stuff. All right, Brad, for all the listeners that want to check out your work, follow you online, get updates, all that good stuff, where's the best place to find out more information online?
Well, the movie's online. I try to keep a low online profile. I think we're all being killed by dopamine feedback. I'm not one of those deep state weirdo subreddit MRA losers. I'm just really, all joking aside, just felt like I was wasting too much time on the internet, so I cut it all out. But I do have an Instagram, Brad Michael Elmore. That's pretty much it. Anywhere else is just,
Well, you're on IMDb as well.
Yeah, there's not much to look at. So
Yeah.
it's
Does Boogeyman Pop have its own website?
no, it does not.
You
That's
got to
a
get
weird
one.
thing.
You got to get
No,
one, Brad.
Because the studio's going to do that. Here's the thing about that. When we were making Wolfman's Hammer, everybody's so concerned about the websites and the set photos. It's like I just want to make the movie.
Yeah.
The movie must be good.
Sure.
All the other stuff is just like, who cares? I'm a grumpy old man, so I don't really care.
All right. Well, Brad is sitting in on this entire job, Matt. He has his top 3 favorite Natalie Portman performances.
Awesome.
And speaking of Natalie Portman, it brings us to Eye for an Eye, Phil.
Yes, Eye for an Eye, Annihilation. A biologist's husband disappears. She puts her name forward for an expedition into an environmental disaster zone, but does not find what she's expecting. The expedition team is made up of the biologist, an anthropologist, a psychologist, a surveyor, and a linguist. Based on the best-selling novel by James Vandermeer, the film stars Natalie Portman, Oscar Isaac, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. It is directed by Alex Garland, who has only directed one other film, 2014's Ex Machina. Rye, we throw it over to you.
True story, Matt. I had Annihilation picked up as a book that I was going to read. I was super excited because the reviews on website Goodreads, I believe, is the website you go to.
Wait. You can read?
Absolutely,
Okay.
Matt. These reviews were outstanding. Intelligent sci-fi type stuff. And it's on my list to read. And I had no idea they were even making a movie. So once I found out that they were making a movie and
read
that
it?
Alex Garland was directing, I still have not read the book. I was super stoked. Natalie Portman's in it. And now I'm a little worried, I think because it's coming out so early in the year, that perhaps the studio doesn't necessarily believe in the project as much as maybe they would have if you saw it come out in like June and as a big summer tentpole movie. But that said, I'm hearing from Natalie Portman, I think has been online, and other people saying that it might just be too smart, or people just might not necessarily get it on one viewing.
That sounds like hedging of bets.
I don't know, but Matt, I loved Ex Machina, and let's start there. Alex Garland, I'm dying to see how he follows this movie up. So that alone, if for no other reason, even if I looked at the trailer and I think it looks like garbage, and I didn't like the cast, let's just say, for no other reason, Alex Garland, I want to see how he follows up Ex Machina. I'm interested.
Well, I'm not going to be as long-winded as you. I think that this movie looks awesome. It looks like a new take on almost like a Predator type situation, if I had to compare it to anything else, just based on the trailers. The cast is phenomenal. I heard that Oscar Isaac was filming this sometimes in the same day as he was filming the Star Wars movies. He's amazing. I love Natalie Portman. Jennifer Jason Leigh's pretty good, too. So, yeah, interested.
Brad, what do you think?
I'm with you on Ex Machina being great. That movie's just fantastic. It's just perfect. Like, it dramatizes its themes. It's directed beautifully, and it ends exactly how it needs to end. I'm really excited for his next film. And there's this weird thing about it where it looks like Annihilation looks like a remake of Stalker, the Russian film. It looks like the same movie. There's some weird zone that they all go to, and there's this great mystery, and apparently they're telling everybody it's going to be a heady film, which Stalker is definitely a heady film, and it feels like somebody trying to play in that milieu. And if there's any sort of milieu, I'd like to see get a shot in the arm. It's, weird, esoteric Russian sci-fi, So, yeah, I'm stoked. I'm interested.
3 interesteds as we go into the fish tank. Phil, you joining us on this side?
I 100% am. I agree with everything that everyone said so far. And my thing, from watching the trailer, they've mastered this kind of like off-putting sense of silence and quiet, I think. And I think it's really environmental. The trailer alone has done a good job of making me feel scared for Natalie Portman.
The soundtrack, in particular, in the trailer, they have this like tone soundtrack that's running in the background. Very, very good. I liked it a lot.
4 interesteds for Annihilation. Scheduling, Matt. Behind the scenes here, I notice the press screening is on the same night that we normally record Cinemajaw. We may have to finagle some things so we get a review out.
Yeah, we can move things around.
You know how it is.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, speaking of new movies, I could not get out to see Black Panther, so I had to send Matt out there alone. I was treated, just to tease the jawheads, of sneaking Phil into the press screening for Early Man. This is the first time I had ever sat next to Phil in a movie. So tease that. Matt, you had to go at it alone on Black Panther. Buddy.
I did. Black Panther is cracking all sorts of pre-sale records. It's being dubbed one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. Will it live up to the hype? I sat on the edge of my seat to find out.
I have seen gods fly. I've seen men build weapons that I couldn't even imagine. I've seen aliens drop from the sky.
Yeah.
But I have never seen anything like this. How much more are you hiding?
Hold up.
All right, let's get this out of the way. This is a review of a superhero movie. Black Panther has exotic alien metals fallen to Earth and asteroids, magical herbs that grant super strength, fictional countries, super suits, and Andy Serkis in it. Yes, this is a fantastical film with many, if not all, of the trappings of recent Cape fare. What sets it apart from other great entries in the genre, perhaps as the greatest superhero movie of all time, is its cultural significance, masterful timing, and the embrace it gives to its source material. This is a comic book movie in the MCU, make no mistake. It does not seek to circumvent or even subvert the genre. It simply functions at the highest level the genre allows. Had it gone for grim and gritty realism or hyper-colorful split screens like previous filmmakers have done with comics in the past, it surely would have failed, no matter how culturally significant it is. It succeeds because it is unapologetically a Marvel film. The story picks up after the events of Captain America Civil War, where we saw the old Wakandan king die and his son T'Challa assume the mantle of Black Panther. He returns home to the reclusive, technologically advanced African nation of Wakanda to serve as his country's new leader. However, T'Challa soon finds that he is challenged for the throne and unearths devastating secrets of the nation: old foes, new foes, political maneuvers, and superhero missions. It's Marvel at its best. The cast is superb. Each and every character has a reason for existing and are given moments to shine, even in the flashbacks. If I had to pick one who stands out in particular, I would give that honor to Michael B. Jordan, whose turn as the villain Killmonger gives us one of the most nuanced, relatable, and believable villains in the MCU to date. The action set pieces function well. The plot is among the more plausible in the MCU, and it just works. All of that makes it good, but what makes it great is the aforementioned cultural significance. There is a significance to this movie that I can never fully appreciate. I will never completely understand what this movie means to the Black community, but I have a pretty good inkling. It's big, really big. We can go on and on as to exactly why that is, but I think in part, it's not for me to say. Timing, casting, and a host of other reasons factor in, but at this point, there's just no denying that Black Panther will be a cultural phenomenon that we'll be talking about for years to come. It comments on current events in Trump's America, including immigration, racism, colonialism, isolationism, without directly mentioning any of them. This comes through in the political decisions T'Challa must make. Does he open the borders and use Wakandan tech to help the world, or continue to seal them off in a Wakanda first policy? The choices are not obvious. One of the greatest strengths of this movie, you see every side of every issue. It's not just good versus evil. It's more complicated than that. And I thank the filmmakers for respecting our intelligence. Believe the hype.
Wow. I am
Sorry, that
believing
was
the
a
hype.
little long there. but
No, I
it's-
don't mind because
okay.
it was interesting and it grabbed my attention for a comic book movie that, I'm not usually the biggest fan of.
Sure.
So I guess we start with this culturally impactful movie that everybody is talking about this. Now, I have not seen the movie, so I just ask. We're coming off a year where Moonlight, a completely, black cast, wins Best Picture of the Year. It's a movie also very, cultural significance.
But even that moment was sort of bobbled at the Oscars.
At the Oscars.
Yeah.
But I guess what separates Black Panther? Is it because it's a comic book movie and we haven't quite had that, or is it's something even larger and bigger?
Well, like I said, I don't know if it's for me to say what separates it, but to just take a stab at it, I do think that it's about heroes and about little kids who are picking their Halloween costumes, and trying to find heroes that look like them. I also think it's about the timing. This comes out in February when all the summer movies come out, in the summer, and this happens smack in the middle of Black History Month. Also, it's probably, although there are plenty of movies like Moonlight with completely black cast by black filmmakers, this is something that functions as part of a larger picture, the MCU, with a lot of other entries, and it's not a sub-entry. It's not less important than any of those other Marvel movies. It's just as important as Iron Man, just as important as Captain America, and that's what makes it special. Part of what makes it special.
So what you're saying is there is an Infinity Stone in here.
I'm not saying that.
Well, you said it was important, Matt.
I did not say anything about Infinity Stones.
I've learned my things here, and I know Infinity Stones mean importance.
I didn't say anything about Infinity Stones.
All right. You mentioned Michael B. Jordan as the villain, and I'm excited because obviously this guy, probably most people know him from playing Creed, but
Right.
He's been around, I believe. He was on, what's that? Fruitvale Station.
Yeah.
Right. And Ryan Coogler, who is the director here,
Yes.
worked with him in both instances. He's definitely the highlight. And is he one of the better Marvel villains?
I would say so.
Where does he rank?
Okay, that's a good question. Where does he rank? I really liked Baron Zemo, which was the guy who played Schmidt in the Cloverfield Paradox. Throw it in I always forget this guy's name, Brule or something.
Yeah, Daniel Brühl.
Throw it in the jaw box. Oh, you got it, Daniel Brühl. Okay. I liked it. So what Marvel's been doing lately with their villains is giving them a lot of shades of gray, where it's not just like, I'm evil and I want to destroy the world, or even like the Joker who's just an anarchist. You almost can see their point of view, and I like that. I really do. And I think they got you get a taste of that with Baron Zemo in Civil War, but with this guy, at points I just flat agreed with him. Mm-hmm. I won't sugarcoat it. I thought, I agree with the villain in this case, and that made it way more interesting to see the journey, because you almost start to root for him at certain points, because it just seems like, what you're saying is actually right.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
And one more question for you, Matt, is a lot of these superhero films, I always feel, end up with too much CGI at the end of the movie, the big climax. Even though what I've seen, anyways, during the trailers, it seems like Black Panther was going to avoid a little bit of that. Can you tease me a little? Am I going to like it?
There's some Star Wars feel to it.
Really?
Yeah. With some aircraft chasing. One in particular even looks like the Millennium Falcon. Do you completely avoid CGI? No, it's there. Is it as bad as I've seen in some of the other films? No, it's not. It's
right.
nuanced, at least a little more nuanced.
Brad, you're intrigued with Black Panther, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
What do you got?
The only thing I can add is it's time. It's about time, really. It just is. and Ryan Coogler is the man.
Yes.
That guy is just Creed just had me broken apart and crying every 15 minutes. I can hardly sit through that movie. It's so good. And Fruitvale Station, he's one of those directors and he's younger than me too, I think by like a year or something. I just go, oh my God, he's so good. So I'm stoked for Black Panther. I'm typically bored with the formula, but I think the formula is the Christmas tree with which you hang the ornaments on, and I think
That's
this has
well
got
said.
I think this has got an interesting guts and organs and things to fill it out that'll make it unique, and it's just time for something like this. It's
sure.
time for that kind of representation, and you couldn't do it. You couldn't ask for a better cast director to go do that. So I'm stoked. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you it delivers.
Matt, let's break it down a little bit further. Your favorite scene of Black Panther?
I really enjoyed the very first mission that they partake on, and there's a chase scene that involves Andy Serkis's character Claw, and Black Panther and his crew are chasing Claw in these SUVs, and it's just really cool. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, I like that Andy Serkis is popping up more and more. It's pretty cool.
He's honestly he's really funny in this movie. I liked him a lot.
Yeah. Any scene that you had trouble with?
Yes. There's this scene, and I guess it was just a prerequisite. There are some beats, and maybe we'll get to this in the influences, but there's some beats of other superhero movies that I noticed. They pass through this force field that covers Wakanda. To the outside world, you just see like the African rainforest, and then when they pass through, suddenly it's this technological city that looks kind of like Tokyo, but in Africa. And I hated that. Hated it is a strong term, but I just didn't care for that. Like, oh man, it's like a force field and nobody can see it from the outside. I would have liked to see they do something a little more clever than that.
In a way, sort of like Wonder Woman's
Yes.
bubble.
In fact, almost verbatim.
Okay.
The same effect when they go through the bubble.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about influences. What'd you see, Matt?
Well, Wonder Woman, for sure. And then very much Captain America, because you have to compare it to some of the other Marvel films, and it's got more of that political intrigue and spy movie feel to it than a straight-out cape, like an Iron Man superhero beat-em-up. So,
Nice. Did you learn anything with Black Panther?
that villains should not be caricatures. Give them some depth. They can have some things that they are right about. Maybe they're just misguided, or maybe they're completely right. Leave it up to the viewer. That's what I really learned and appreciate most from this movie.
Nice. And how about a movie poster quote?
Believe the hype. That's the quote.
Let's assign some Jaws here, Matt.
This is a 3.5 Jaw movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, for a February release, we got to be excited about a 3.5 Jaw. I'm pumped now.
Honestly, it could be a 4 Jaw movie. I'm just backing it off because I'm a little worried that it is getting overhyped. It's just a damn good superhero movie. One of the best in the Marvel Universe. I wouldn't say the best.
I do plan to check it out. If the timing was right on the screening, I would have obviously went and had my thoughts also. But I'll check this one out.
You should. We'll be talking about it all year.
Yeah. Now, was Natalie Portman in this one?
She wasn't. No.
But she has been in a superhero movie, Matt.
She's been in a Marvel movie.
Yes. Make no mistake about it.
2 of them.
And because Natalie Portman has a new movie coming out entitled Annihilation, that is our topic for our top 3 this week. Our top 3 favorite Natalie Portman performances. Brad, we like to throw it over to the guest and ask if you had fun coming up with this list, or did you know, was it predictable? You knew the 3 movies, performances that you were going to pick?
Well, I just have fun thinking and talking about movies and performances in general, so I had fun, but it was pretty quick. I mean, it came to me 1, 2, 3. Didn't have to think about it too hard.
Nice. I did want to mention Natalie Portman. Just a little backdrop here. 5'3".
So she's right around your height, huh?
Yeah, I tower over her. Okay, I very seldom tower over people, but I tower over Natalie Portman, and she has 3 Oscar nominations. One of them a win. That's the basis. All right.
She's great.
We start with Brad. What do you got as your number 3 favorite Natalie Portman performance?
I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises here. I feel there might be some crossovers, but I'm gonna start with Heat. That would be number 3. I think she's fantastic in that, and I think for the amount of screen time she has and the sort of acting calisthenics she has to do, we have to understand her histrionics in very little amount of time and care about the stakes of what she's going through as a young person. I think, as a young person performing, she kills it. I mean, she just, I really enjoy that performance. So Heat.
She plays Val Kilmer's girlfriend in Heat. Is that correct? Or am I way off on that?
No, you're way off. She's a kid in Heat. She plays
one of the
Al
daughters.
Pacino's live-in girlfriend's daughter.
Yeah,
that's right.
Who is going through some trouble with her biological father and eventually commit suicide or attempt suicide. And she's fantastic, and I just think it's a wonderful performance.
Yeah, and I have to say, you just mentioned that you think we're going to have a lot of crossovers, but here's an instance where I don't think of Natalie Portman when I think of the movie Heat, but you're totally right. I'm like, wow, right. She was younger in that, movie, so maybe it doesn't jump out at me as like a great performance, but yeah, what an awesome movie.
And it's there with a lot of heavy hitters, so it can be buried. But if you're asking me to narrow down her performances, that's just one that I just always like. I mean, that she's in so few scenes, and she's got to be like, okay, now you're the happy kid, now you're spastic, now you're, and she just does a great job.
Now, well done, dude. Because honest to God, I had forgotten she was in Heat. I love that movie. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, but I always come back to the scene, which everybody does, where they're sitting at the table and it's Pacino and De Niro and they're having that discussion. I totally forgot about Natalie Portman, so good pick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gets us started off strong, and I followed up, Matt. Now I'm going Natalie Portman as a full-fledged adult in 2016. This marked her 3rd Oscar nomination for playing Jackie Kennedy in the film Jackie. And have you seen this one, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely.
And here you had this accent that you had to nail.
Well, I was going to say, what'd you think of the voice?
I liked the voice. And I think maybe, I didn't grow up at a time where I knew, Jackie Kennedy from like newsreels.
Right.
I only have seen it in, highlight reels and used in
The
like
Zapruder
clippings.
tape, yeah.
Right. And so from the little that I known, it was like maybe a little jawing at first, like, whoa, what is this accent? But after watching the movie and then going back and looking at some of the past clips and archival footage, I was like, wow, did she nail it? I totally bought Natalie Portman as Jackie Onassis. And what a film. You obviously are tackling this at one of the most difficult times a first lady had ever gone through, an assassination of her husband. And we have talked about it here. I've noted in my 3 picks my favorite scenes of those movies. And I think Portman's biggest moment in Jackie, the moment that is just so just touching, is the moment when she's talking to her kids after the assassination and talking about how, their dad isn't going to come home. Wow. I mean, I know we reviewed it here on the show, and it ripped us both up. That's a strong, strong scene from Portman.
Very strong scene. Yeah, it's a good pick.
Yeah. You like that one also, Brad?
We'll come to that.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got sitting there at number 3, Matt?
All right. Listen, I took a different tack, okay? So
a different tack.
A little bit of a different tack.
I can't believe this.
So I'm going to 2005 V for Vendetta.
Whoa. Stealing all Brad's picks, I bet.
Only slightly arguably, Alan Moore is the greatest comic book writer of all time. And I think my personal favorite book of his is V for Vendetta. A lot of people say Watchmen, and that's fine. But
From Hell.
From Hell's another good pick. Terrible movie. We were all worried.
They're all terrible movies.
Well,
Whoa.
some worse than others. I honestly...
Shots fired. Shots fired.
I like The Watchmen. I do. But I think V for Vendetta... Actually, I really like The Watchmen, but that's another discussion. V for Vendetta, while it changes some things, as all the movies do, I thought that it updated the right things and it functions well as a screenplay. It made the changes it had to, but still stayed true enough to the source material to make it faithful and I like it quite a bit. It's a great movie. I've returned to a couple of times.
Yeah, I obviously have not read any of these Alan Moore paperbacks. What do you
Graphic
call them?
novels.
Graphic novels.
Yeah.
There you go. I haven't read any of these graphic novels, but I remember. I think probably that came out before The Watchmen. Am I right? Throw in
That's
the
a good
jaw
question.
box. The 2 years V for Vendetta came out and Watchmen. I'm talking about the movies.
I say after, but
I think before, but anyways, who knows? Anyways, I remember seeing V for Vendetta and really being, intrigued all of a sudden by these graphic novels that Matt had been speaking about. Holy cow! I was a little, piqued my interest because it was thought provoking, and
Yeah.
I think Natalie Portman, wonderful performance, shaved head and all.
if nothing else, this gave us Natalie Portman with the shaved head and the Guy Fawkes mask, which is just completely infiltrated underground culture as like a symbol of subversion. So-
Not to mention Remember.
well, that's been around for hundreds of years.
But it sort of brought it back.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
It seems like Brad, though, you're not too big of a fan on this one.
No, I'm not actually. I think it's probably the best Alan Moore adaptation, but that's not saying much. She's great in it, though. I mean, the performances are all fine. I feel like there's a bunch of Alan Moore adaptations where there's one that's abysmal, and then there's a few that are people clearly loved the source material but weren't smart enough to capture it. Like I think Zack Snyder loves Watchmen. I think he loves it to death, but I don't think he quite understands it. I don't think he understands irony and empathy. He just understands iconography and archetype.
But he
And
did
so-
fix the ending. He fixed the ending.
I have no problem with the screenplay for Watchmen. It's simply the direction.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother discussion. Yeah, I would say V for Vendetta is probably the more successful, but it's not the most fun because the most fun Alan Moore one, which is so off the mark it might as well not even be his, is Constantine. I like that one a lot. That's a guilty pleasure for me.
No complaints.
Yeah, none here either.
Yeah. All right, we're
Yeah.
into our twos. Brad, what do you got sitting there?
Jackie. I would say Jackie is my number 2 for a lot of the reasons that were named. The voice, it's a strong choice to try to emulate such a distinct voice. And a lot of people can focus in on that because I think she tries to find some sort of mid-ground because at some point you have to play the character and the emotions of the scene. And the reason why I like the performance so much is I think one of the hardest things for an actor to do is to convey conflicting emotions at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
And the way she has to keep her composure and go through these things and she's twisting inside, but must constantly, the way she's constantly underhanded and sort of talked down to and has to wade through that. It's just a remarkable, there's just little moments in there. Like when she goes and shakes Lyndon's hand or when Lyndon comes up to her right after the assassination. And it's like, there's so many pregnant moments where she has so many outward faces and inward feelings. And that's a really staggering work, I think. So yeah, I'd go with Jackie.
I like it. Yeah. I hope enough people see that one because should be seen.
I agree.
That's a
Yeah,
lovely
definitely.
film.
No doubt. Swings it over to my number 2, and I go 2004. This is a film. It actually just came up on Cinemajaw during busted scenes. Remember we were doing times
not
when
too long ago.
characters get busted.
Sure.
And I brought this movie up, but as a Natalie Portman vehicle, this is by far one of my favorites. It sits at number 2. I'm speaking of Closer. Have you seen this one, Brad?
Yeah, that's the Mike Nichols one. I liked it when I was younger. I revisited it recently. Performances are all great, but it's got this weird sort of pitched quality that kind of was off-putting now. It's just sort of bizarre. But yeah, she's great in it. You know what? I did not think of that one. That's a really, it's certainly a brave performance on her part.
It is. I mean, she plays this girl, and for my favorite scene is actually, I love the way this movie opens. It has this song comes on. I forget the singer's name now. Damian Rice. Damian Rice is singing this song, Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. She's crossing the street, and Jude Law is just taken by her, and they're having one of those moments, and it's all in slow motion. And they're crossing the street, and they're looking at each other, and then next thing you know, a car hits Natalie Portman. And because of that, the two sort of get intertwined. He brings her to the hospital and so on and so forth, and the rest is this type of relationship drama. Enter Clive Owen and horse-faced Julia Roberts. And I usually don't like horse-faced Julia Roberts, but this is a completely different type
Well, you
of
like
movie.
horses, though.
I know. Go figure. But this movie, I think Natalie Portman upstages, actually, Julia Roberts, shows really what acting is here. And she has got a couple of great moments. One of them when she is in the strip club with Clive Owen, where he comes in and sees that she's a stripper. Couple of great performances going on there, and if you haven't seen Closer, it's worth a closer look, Matt.
I see what you did there.
Do you?
Yeah, I guess that swings it around.
So you're
to...
not a dullard.
No, I'm not a dullard. Not at all. I'm very exciting. That swings it around to my number 2. And speaking of Closer, this is where I put Beautiful Girls.
What?
Beautiful Girls,
hey.
man. So this movie, mine actually, well, we'll get to the pattern at the end, but Natalie Portman is quite young, which I think is part of what makes her remarkable, is that her career started at a very early age, and she displayed this maturity back then that no doubt is part of the reason why she got cast for this role. So the whole plot of Beautiful Girls, for those who are unfamiliar, this guy comes home to his small town from New York City, played by Timothy Hutton, and he's like a piano player trying to make it, and gets back in with his old friends and his ex-girlfriend and this and that. But there's this new person who lives next door who's Natalie Portman, playing this 13-year-old girl, and it's sort of a love interest.
Like a Lolita.
Kind of.
Okay.
And I think in the wrong hands, it could have been played that way, and it would have been creepy. But Natalie Portman explains her character as this old soul. Nothing happens between these two. It's just they talk. And I'm doing it no justice right now. I'm completely botching this explanation. But a lesser actress could not have stepped up to the point where that role wouldn't have been creepy. And he does say, listen, this is, not right. We're just talking because I'm an adult and you're a kid. But Natalie Portman nails it. You have to see it to understand what I'm talking about.
I have not seen it.
Really, it's a great movie. I mean, Uma Thurman's in it. Martha Plimpton from The Goonies. There's a lot of great...
Rosie O'Donnell, am I wrong on that? Or
I don't know. Mira Sorvino pops up.
Nice.
There's a lot of great guys, too. Matt Dillon. Anyway, fantastic movie. A lot about small towns, going home, how you can't go home again. But Natalie Portman's character is pivotal, and she's sort of like the spiritual anchor of this movie. So check it out.
Nice pick at number 2.
Thank you.
Here it is, our number 1s. Brad, what do you got sitting as Natalie Portman's best performance?
Black Swan. Yeah. I think Aronofsky movies seem to require a level of sincerity. Like his movies are so sincere; they're almost dunderheadedly sincere. Like you must commit to the premise. Be it you have to be Noah in a post-apocalyptic, fable version of the modern day, or drug addict. Anything he does, it's with so much sincerity, and it requires an actor to commit to something. And at any moment, if it's not matched, it would come across as possibly camp, And so I think she just does a wonderful job with the physical commitment and the committing to the premise and the sort of schizophrenic the things that are going on. And it's, I mean, she won the Oscar for the reason. It's a pretty knockdown, drag out, act your ass off sort of thing, and she carries every friggin' frame. And I think she's remarkable in that, and I that's my favorite performance of hers.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm right there with you. It is also my number 1 is Black Swan, and for all the reasons that you said, Brad, and not to mention, and I'm very keen on this, the moment where actors, when they have to not only make it believable of what the character is pulling off, but they're doing something that we know for a fact Natalie Portman is not a ballerina, but we believe it on screen. So it's almost like she's pulling her weight 2 times over. It's not only just the performance in those scenes, but also as a ballerina. And if you don't believe in one, if all of a sudden we don't believe that she's actually the ballerina, the whole film does not necessarily work. I've always said this about when the movie Whiplash, when he's drumming, you got to believe that Miles Teller is actually able to play those drums, or
the rest of the movie
doesn't work, right? And same here. I actually just rewatched this yesterday, Brad, and I was like blown away by how much she looks like a ballerina. And I know she's a thin and petite girl to begin with, but she must have even lost weight for this. She's very bony, her structure. She has that sort of obsessive look, and I'm talking about body language. Like it's a performer that's trying to do it and make it, no matter what, she's going to be the Swan Queen,
Right.
And no matter what, and you see that in her entire body performance. And then not only that, it is this great acting moment. If there's a best scene, there's no doubt that moment when she gets cast as the lead, and she goes into the bathroom and she calls her mom on the phone talking about how she got, the lead, and she has this great moment. She sort of breaks down crying, and she's so proud. I love that movie, and so many reflections in that movie, mirrors, and seeing yourself in the reflection of a window, and maybe seeing yourself, but it's actually, someone that looks like you. Love it.
Wow. I haven't seen that movie since the very first time I saw it.
Oh, it's worth a revisit, don't you think, Brad?
Yeah.
I think it gets better the second and third time. It's even better. And the music and the way it just builds up to that ending is just brilliant. One of Aronofsky's best. Matt, what do you got sitting at 1?
Guys, listen. Leon the Professional
Whoa.
is at number 1. I mean, this is the movie that burst Natalie Portman onto the scene. The performance that comes from her as a child is just ridiculous. The level of talent she displayed is unmatched, I think. And I don't know if she's carried all of that into, does the potential completely carry over into adulthood? Obviously, with Black Swan, I guess the answer is yes. But I think she's still got more left in her just based on this performance alone. I love... Oh, and you know what I would love to see is The Professional 2 with Matilda as the hitman, which they tease at the end. So we get all these unwanted reboots and sequels. Here's one that we would love to have, and it's been decades. Come on.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball.
Might happen.
I hope so.
Some honorable mentions and notables. You can't talk about Natalie Portman and not bring up Queen Amidala from the Star Wars prequels. How do you guys feel?
Yes, you can. You cannot bring it up.
How do you feel overall? I mean, I remember, this is going way back. I don't know what I would have known Natalie Portman for, or that it was just announced. But she was announced early on in the prequels. Do you guys remember this at all?
I do, yes.
I do.
It was years before it came out. So I think the first one came out in 1999. So I'm talking circa 96, 97.
Oh, I don't know about that early.
Well, I don't know. Throw it in the jaw box if you can find it, Phil, when Natalie Portman was announced. But you know what I'm talking about. It was Natalie Portman.
Her name was attached early on, yes.
But how the hell did I know who Natalie Portman was? I just remember, I think that's how I probably first knew of her, was everybody making a big deal that Natalie Portman was going to be in the prequels.
Who knows? I mean, because The Professional came out in 94, and when did the first Star Wars film drop? 99? So she was pretty young still. I mean, she was maybe just in her 20s.
Out of those 3 of the prequels, I think the first one is just boxed up as it is. I think it's still the best. The third one is just painful when she's... Oh, even the second one.
You broke my heart, Annie. Yeah, it's terrible.
Just
At
terrible.
least the first one is somewhat of an adventure, I guess.
Right.
At least it has they're running around. I mean, it has something going for it. I fell asleep during the second one, and when you're 17 and you fall asleep in a Star Wars movie, that's a problem. And the third one, they're just bad. Those are bad. Those poor actors. I mean, people wanted to really harp on Hayden Christensen for those movies, And I was sitting there going like, what actor made it out of those movies looking good outside of Ewan McGregor? I mean, because I saw Hayden Christensen in a movie called Factory Girl, and he kills it. He kills it in Factory Girl. So it's the well is poisoned there. I felt bad for the kid.
Well, nobody got it worse than Jake Lloyd. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That guy.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, Hayden Christensen gets to go home and be handsome, Hayden Christensen. So, yeah, of course. And Jake Lloyd had to go through puberty, like, knowing he was a Star Wars kid and being bothered by that. And, he made no adult decisions. He was a Star Wars person before he could be an adult. So, yeah, of course. That must have just – that poor kid.
Other Natalie Portman performances, Garden State.
Oh, good one, dude. Totally.
I really like that performance.
Maybe
there.
a top 3 worthy performance. No?
Yes, she's great in it, but have you guys seen Buffalo 66?
Mm-hmm.
That is just that dude's, like, I want to do that. It's
I want to do mumblecore.
Movie.
Yeah.
It's the same movie, but not good and unique. Like, Buffalo 66 is such a shot in the arm of some crazy guy giving you his worldview. And then
is Christina Ricci in Buffalo 66?
Yes. And that movie is bonkers. I mean, that guy had to reinvent a way to even develop the footage. No movie looks like that because it was done on reversal stock. So they had no way to develop it. So we had to refigure that out. And the movie is crazy. It's such a worldview. And then Zach Braff comes along and goes, I'm going to do the same movie, but I have nothing to say, and it's just about, how interesting I am because I'm interesting. And it's the same movie. Goes back home to his East Coast state where he connects with some, a cute girl who's weird, and then there's his stoner friend, and they visit these landmarks, and, think he's going to go away, and then he comes back at the end, and they kiss. It's the same freaking movie, but without the character. If that movie was a person, I'd fight it. I swear.
All right, last one, Brothers. I really like this movie. This is Natalie Portman, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Tobey Maguire.
But is it the Natalie performance that made it good though?
No, but she's really strong.
She's
in there.
good in it. I think that's a good call, good pull.
Yeah.
That's an underrated little movie. Not perfect, but I like what it was going for.
Yeah. If we missed your favorite Natalie Portman performance, and you have Twitter pulled up, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw. We'll retweet it, get the discussion going. Or you can always email us, feedback@cinemajaw.com. Nobody mentioned Your Highness, so who knows?
Oh, I love that movie.
There are
hilarious.
There are other Natalie Portman performances out there. Strong filmography.
Yeah.
So we'll hear it. Hey, what we're going to do here is take a break. When we come back, I snuck Phil into a screening of Early Man, and I got all the reviews of that.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yes. Plus a poll question, Matt. See what everybody's looking forward to in March. Plus trivia. Matt taking on Brad in movie trivia. We'll be right back on Cinemajaw.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
Hi, I'm Matt Kay with a Cinemajaw movie fact. Regarding the film No Strings Attached, the original title for the script was Fuck Buddies, but this wouldn't make it past the MPAA. So it was changed to Friends with Benefits. But then that title was changed because there was another movie with the same title starring Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake. By the time pre-screening invitations were made, it had still not been decided whether the title would be No Strings Attached or Hooking Up. But they finally did settle on No Strings Attached. And that is your Cinemajaw movie fact.
To get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And we are back on Cinemajaw, hanging out with Brad Elmore, director of The Wolfman's Hammer and Boogeyman Pop. Brad, I did want to ask you, when you say those two movies, The Wolfman's Hammer and Boogeyman Pop, two very interesting movie titles. How do you come up with these? Because I think a lot goes into it, especially when you're talking like independent film and you want people to check them out. I think a title means a ton.
I don't know. They just kind of jump up out of me, you know. The Wolfman's Hammer is title. Just I wanted it to sound like a metal album because the character's obsessed with metal and he lives in a trailer, and it's like what would you know, if this was a metal album, what would the name of the album be or the band be? And I thought that was kind of lurid, and I wanted to have a lurid title. That I like the idea of high and low art, and that's Wolfman's Hammer. Is like, it's a serious drama, but it's got a lurid title. And then Boogeyman Pop is just because it's just I really like Halloween a lot, and I thought about the idea of these things as pop culture and sort of like not the horror side of them, but the iconography of them, and it just sounded cool rolling off the tongue. I guess it's kind of an homage to Bakshi's American Pop,
Nice.
Sure. Now, if we had to take a stab at it, just say, for instance, when do you think Boogeyman Pop might be able to be seen by the public?
This fall.
All right.
I'm excited.
I am too. Yeah. So definitely check out The Wolfman's Hammer on YouTube and let us know what you think. Again, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw. We'll pass this feedback over to Brad. He loves good feedback, don't you?
Yes.
Who doesn't?
I do.
Only send us the positives. That's what we say on Cinemajaw.
No, we'll take it all.
Yeah.
The good and the bad.
All right. Matt, before we get to Cinema War and before we get to our early man review, we did throw a few items into the jaw box. And I know Phil wants to get out of there. Talk about his favorite Natalie Portman moments.
Probably.
Let's open up that jaw box.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Cotton?
The box.
What's in the box?
Hey guys, thanks. So I honestly, you guys are gonna give me crap, but I don't think I have a favorite Natalie Portman moment that's like one better than the other. So it would probably be Padme from Star Wars.
Wow.
That was like here's what I will say. Star Wars was one of the first films I saw in theater, and maybe that I remember. I'm sure
Me
my parents
too, but
took
I'm
me.
sorry that yours had to be the Phantom Menace.
Hey, here's what I'll say: is that even though now it's embarrassing, back then it was the coolest thing.
There you go.
But yeah, there are a lot of questions in here, so we'll get onto those. Enough Natalie, she had her time. The first one is who directed Shoot the Moon? That would be Alan Parker. Directed
Alan
Shoot
Parker,
the Moon.
thank you.
There we go.
Then this next one, when did the movie versions of V for Vendetta and The Watchmen come out? So I think, Rye, you were saying that Watchmen came out the year before?
I was saying
like
that V for Vendetta came out before.
Yeah, okay, it did. V for Vendetta was 2005, and then there was actually a 4-year gap. Watchmen came out in 2009.
See, you were way off, Matt. I said V for Vendetta was way before.
Yeah, you're correct.
And then the last one was the when did they announce that Natalie Portman was going to be Padme one?
Did you find anything on that?
So I didn't find out, like, an official LucasArts announcement that this is what they were doing. The closest thing that I could find was that George Lucas was really, really impressed by her performances in The Professional and in Beautiful Girls. And that's what drew him to that. And Beautiful Girls came out in 1996, so it would have had to have been at least after that film came out.
Okay.
But before 1993, you could probably, I guess if I had done more research, I could have found out the production cycle and how long it took him to film.
But right in there, yeah.
I just do. It's funny that you remember it also, that Natalie Portman was like announced. And it was like, who's Natalie Portman? But for some reason, it was a big deal.
Well, okay, so I knew because I had the Professional poster on my wall. I know who Natalie Portman was, and also for some reason I caught Beautiful Girls. Was a movie that probably wasn't in my wheelhouse. Somehow I just watched it and loved it. So yeah, I was very excited to hear her name.
I mean, it could be a little bit like, they did that with Daisy Ridley and John Boyega. The only difference is now we have an Internet of Things to say, who the hell are these people?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was a little bit different, because there was no internet. So I guess it was just, you sort of heard this stuff.
Guys, this was the 90s. There was internet,
Well, not
okay?
like it is
AOL
now.
dial-up.
You know what I mean. Yeah,
Not going to Google
Green
search
screen.
that. Not
There
gonna
was-
Ask Jeeves search, who's Natalie Portman, Matt?
Listen, you can still find things out, okay, Phil?
Oh, touche. All right, hey, before we close out that job box, we did get some feedback. We have a listener's poll that we threw out there. Matt, feedback on the last couple of episodes. One, still going on with the Twins episode. Finally, Alex Starsky on Twitter wrote in, how did you guys do a whole Twin movies list without talking about Dead Ringers?
That's a really good point. Good point.
Brad, you probably would have mentioned Dead Ringers.
Oh, that's the best Cronenberg film right there.
I know.
Yeah.
And we completely missed it. Good call, Alex. Going back just 1 week ago, last episode, when we talked about impactful documentaries, Patreon Brad Wysocki wrote in, my favorite documentary has to be Shark Water by a filmmaker who left us way too early, Rob Stewart. This is a good one that, just like Blackfish, will make you angry, or at least I hope. You are the best. Keep up the good work, Brad.
Hey, thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
Always good to hear from Brad.
Shark Water. Maybe look it up on Netflix.
I will. I love a good documentary.
You do?
I do. I'll take that suggestion.
Yeah. As we mentioned at the top of the show, we threw out a question out onto Twitter.
Yes, we did.
What movie are you looking forward to most in the month of March? Matt, what were our choices for the Jawheads?
There were 4, and they are Pacific Rim Uprising, A Wrinkle in Time, Isle of Dogs, which should be noted as the new Wes Anderson pick, and Ready Player One.
Brad, you heard those selections. If you're voting, and maybe you did cast a vote on our Twitter poll, where would you put that vote?
Oh, man. I would go with A Wrinkle in Time just because, and I heard someone else phrase this, it looks like they sat down like a 14-year-old boy and said, what do you think is cool? And everything he answered, they did the exact opposite of. You know, it's so not catering to 14-year-old boy edgelord bullshit. I guess that, because I like Ava DuVernay and I like, in so much as a big franchise film, it just looks like it's got its own little weird trippy thing going on. So I guess that one, but none of them really.
Matt, how about you? Matt, where'd you cast?
Frankly, I am excited for Wrinkle in Time. It's made me reread the books, but that is not where I cast my vote. I did cast it for another book I read very recently, could not put down, Ready Player One.
Yeah, me and Matt we don't cross over with our reads very much because you're reading these paperbacks. What do you call them? Graphic novels.
That's not true. I mostly read nonfiction.
But I also read Ready Player One. And yes, huge fan. I'm right with you, Matt. But I'm Wes Anderson above all else. So I put my vote firmly with Isle of Dogs, which I love Fantastic Mr. Fox, and we're just getting more of it. And it has basically, I had talked to someone, I said, do you see who's in this movie? And he started reading off the list of voices. I said, you know what? It's better just say who's not in this movie in Hollywood, because it's that many people are voicing people in Isle of Dogs. It's going to be spectacular. It's Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
But we did throw this out onto Twitter, Matt. How did the poll results end up? Who came in last? Start there.
Well, it's actually a tie. The last two with 14%. Were Pacific Rim Uprising and, unfortunately, A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, boy.
Doesn't shock me at all.
Poor Brad.
No, it doesn't shock me at all. I can imagine a bunch of, like, early 20s dudes and late teens dudes just being like, oh, this does look cool, which is kind of what it has going for it for me, where it's like Ready Player One just looks like everything I hate all put into one thing. Like it's just fan servicey, like, we need more of that, guys. Oh, boy,
Well, did you read the book? To be completely fair, that's kind of the point of it.
I did try to read that book. I thought what the guy wished he was trying to say, and in so much as what the book's saying of, like, how we need to divorce ourselves from this thing because it creates this sort of not living in the real world, is like, yeah, but you made this other thing so sexy that it's clearly what you're really interested in, It's not for me. It's not for me. But you know what? Spielberg is the great communicator. He's a great filmmaker, and maybe he can maybe he has a take on it that'll just floor me, that he will be able to dramatize those themes and have that come across. But in so much as the source material, I'm just not I mean, it's like exhausting, frankly. Just, it's going to have the DeLorean in it. Great. There's Freddy Krueger. Nerds.
All right, Matt. Hey, how did the poll finish here?
Okay, all right, okay. So let's say at number three then would be, with 35% of the vote, Isle of Dogs. So, Brad, I'm sorry to tell you, man, with 37%, so it was very close. Ready Player One did win.
Wow.
Not shocking. I think that speaks to exactly what I'm saying. The 14-year-old boys going, this does not look cool, is exactly what A Wrinkle in Time looks like.
But wait a second. I mean, dude, I love A Wrinkle in Time and Ready Player One as books, I'm saying.
As a discerning reader, I'm sure you do. But what I'm saying is that you can't argue that the design aesthetic for that trailer, forget the book, for that trailer is very uniquely sort of atypical of your blockbuster fare, in so much as doesn't look like the Tim Burton brand, doesn't look like sort of the action-y brand. It doesn't look like the sort of action video game build or power fantasy look to it,
No, I agree.
Yeah. And so it very much, that doesn't shock me at all. And actually, Isle of Dogs, I did not know was a movie coming out. So that was I thought it was some kid's movie, but I didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have no opinions on Isle of
I
Dogs.
will say the poll for I was watching it throughout the day when we threw it out today. Isle of Dogs was winning all the way up until the very end, and then Ready Player One took it. So there it is. So
it's going to be an interesting.
It's going to be
March.
at least we're going in the right direction with some interesting films coming out that I want to see.
Honestly, I want to see all of those movies. I can't wait for every single one of them.
And we'll have reviews of every single one of them.
Yeah.
That's what we do here, man.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. That was everything in the jaw box, wasn't it, Phil?
Yes, it was.
Get back in there.
Can do. Thank you.
Matt, as you said, in lieu of Cinema War, we do have a second review, and this was the first time I had went to a theater with Me and Phil, which was very interesting. Matt, me and Phil went and checked out Early Man. Aardman Animation's Nick Park, the man who brought us Wallace and Gromit, is back with a claymation mashup of caveman comedy and a homage to the beautiful game of soccer. Giggling Phil and I hit the pitch to check it out.
Chief! Whoa, whoa, whoa! Ah. Time to go hunting!
Bit early, isn't it, Doug? Right, grab a spear.
Oh, it's pointy.
Change your underpants today?
Yeah, changed it with dongle.
Never mind.
Shush, everyone. Attack!
The film opens up with early man living amongst dinosaurs when a meteor strikes Earth. Our atmosphere dwindles it down to a hot, rounded rock, which they begin to kick around in a playful manner. Hence, the great game of soccer is born. I thought this was just a nice, funny way to start the movie. Little did I know, the sport of soccer, better known as football everywhere else besides the U.S., would play such a pivotal role. A few generations later, a tribe of cavemen are kicked out of their valley by a Bronze Age army led by Lord Nuth, voiced by Tom Hiddleston. The young hero of the group, Doug, who's also voiced here by Eddie Redmayne, accidentally makes his way inside the city walls of this Bronze Age empire. Here he discovers they play soccer and actually put the importance of the sport above pretty much everything else. He hatches a plan, a soccer match between the cavemen and the Bronze Army in a winner-take-all for the right to call the valley home. The plot here, Matt, is simple, but the witty writing and ever so fun claymation animation makes this something worth checking out. Those familiar with Wallace and Gromit will know what I mean here. We don't see this kind of humor in our American animated films. Not that we're not doing good work, but this is just different. The animation here is so fluid, even during the fast-paced action scenes of soccer, the cavemen hunting, for instance, all of that elevates this film. Being a fan of the beautiful game, Matt, of soccer, I appreciated all the humor Nick Park had with the sport. I think kids will like it. Fans of soccer will too. Quite simply, this is the best caveman soccer movie of all time. Phil, do you think Early Man scored a goal?
I really do. I think, in particular, like you said, the humor is 100% on point. And you can tell that there was a lot of care and love put into the storyboarding, because it's not just written humor. It's not just spoken. It really plays up the fact that it's animated, and the visual comedy, much like any really, like Monty Python or Fry and Laurie, like, is just really, really great, and will put a smile on your face, I think. I think it's impossible to not have fun with this movie.
I mentioned Giggling Phil, and that was my impersonation of him here, or I'll give you my impersonation of him here, is you're sitting alongside Phil, and all of these sort of visual humor, and there's tons of them. They constantly are going to
That's
these,
what Aardman does, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I would hear to my right just the whole entire
It's pretty good.
time.
It's pretty good. That sounds like Phil.
There is one character in particular, again, Mr. Stone, I believe is his name, and it's basically like a stone tablet with a face drawn on it, which is a funny gag at first, and it does come to it every time. Phil thought this was like knee-slapping humor, you know? Every time this slab would come on, Phil would just start giggling nonstop.
Was it inanimate?
No, it was just literally just a slab of rock
Yes,
with a
it
smile
was.
on it.
No, it was inanimate. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it was just, it was funny.
There he goes with the giggling. But yeah, I mean, really, the witty humor, if you know Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely...
Let's not forget Chicken Run.
Right, Chicken Run. It has fun with the idea of soccer. Like I had mentioned, there is... a lot of like spoofs on the game of soccer and how it was born. And if you really know soccer, there's a lot of teams named so-and-so United or Real so-and-so. They even make fun of that and how the names may have came together, like the cavemen are really united here. Yeah, the cavemen united. And it goes on. So there's humor for people who are probably a little bit more into soccer, like myself. So I appreciated that. But for people who are just going for the animation, like Phil, probably loved it as much as well.
Yeah, absolutely. When you don't watch soccer, but you do know what a rock is, it's a really good time.
I'm glad you know what a rock is, Phil. But did you have a favorite scene?
I loved the moment, for me, this is early on, the cavemen are getting ready to go hunting, and they feel that the only thing that they are capable of hunting, at least the oldest tribeman, who is all of 32 years old, which is a hilarious moment in the film. He believes that the only thing they are capable of hunting is a rabbit. And, of course, they get the whole team of cavemen up there. You get about 7 or 8 of them, and they all prepare. They got all these signs, and we sort of know where it's going, that the rabbit's just going to run around in circles around these guys and make fools of them. But it works because of the animation, even though we've seen this joke sort of before. Hilarious. I love that opening moment of hunting the rabbit.
So mine's not quite a moment, because it's really throughout all of the entirety of the last big finale soccer match. But 2 characters from that soccer match who just kind of interject and pop in and are actually just really, really funny and really well done are these 2 sports commentators that they have. That was just like that. Like the closest I can think is like the who are those old guys from the Muppets?
For sure.
Like
Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah.
I believe. I could be messing that up.
Yeah, and not only that, I thought the commentators in Dodgeball, which was Jason
Yes.
Bateman and I forget who. But yeah, right along those lines, they bring in these commentators that are just hilarious as they're commenting on not only the soccer match, but also the doings of the king and queen.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just perfect. Like, it's a very smart way to do tell, don't show. And I think it worked wonderfully.
What about trouble scenes? Anything you didn't like?
I have to say, this is a very short movie. The runtime on this thing is probably like 88, 89 minutes, so it moves quick, and there's not a lot that I would have issues with, like in a particular scene, because the movie is so quick-paced. There is a gag where a pig is rubbing the king's back while he's taking a bath, and they go to this gag 3 times maybe. Maybe that was one time where I thought, okay, it didn't really work well enough to go to the well 3 times and get that laugh. But that is a minor complaint.
Mine is see, because I thought the pig doing, because there's another part where he's like playing a harp and just trying to stall for time.
Did it make you giggle, Phil?
It did. I thought it was cute. Mine actually, there's a moment, like a cave scene that's sort of a reveal, if you will. And it was all plot driven. There wasn't really any jokes in it. It was just like kind of like the twist of the movie. And it's pretty quick, but I thought, I mean, because it was just the merit of the story that was holding it. There wasn't any jokes. That part was a little bit weak because it's not like anyone's going to this for the story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. What about movie influences?
This is what I got. You get a cocktail shaker, and you put these 3 movies in there. Bad News Bears, Bend It Like Beckham, Wallace and Gromit, Shake It, pour it out in a glass, and you got Early Men.
Mine's pretty close. I had Mighty Ducks, and then the Aardman filmography.
You could just say every sports comedy ever.
Yeah.
Major League?
No.
Fits
not
right
so
in.
Much.
No?
Not so much. No.
Okay. What about a movie poster quote?
Nope. What did I learn? I'll tell you that, Matt.
Okay.
Soccer players were flopping even back in the caveman days. And it's a great joke because what do people hate who are non-soccer fans, even soccer fans?
Talking about soccer?
No, but there is the flopping factor, right? This big flop, and they just milk the time.
I don't even know what flopping is.
They play it perfectly in this movie. They make fun
I
of
would
it.
say the fact that you can have a 0-0 game is pretty friggin' boring too, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm with Rye on soccer being fun. But what I learned is actually it's also about soccer and that it has been around since man has been recording facts.
Yeah. They're all wonderful athletes, though. They're fantastic athletes. Just, I don't know how anybody can watch it.
And now for my movie poster.
I'm with you on that one.
My
Brett.
movie poster quote, Matt.
Yeah. What is it?
Goal!
Is that why you saved it for last?
Yeah, I saved that one for the end.
Thank you.
Phil, can you top that?
I don't know. Probably not. I have, unless you're British, the most British thing you'll see all year.
That's good. But your quote should just be giggle.
Let's assign some Jaws here. I'm going pretty strong. 3 Jaws for Early Men.
Wow, Ryan actually gave it better than me. I had 2.5 just because I thought that the story wasn't there.
It's no Wallace and Gromit, guys. Let's be honest.
Or Chicken Run. I like Chicken Run's probably their best.
Not as good as Chicken Run, even, huh?
Chicken Run's a 4-star.
Wow.
Or a 4-jaw.
I see. I'm a Wallace and Gromit guy myself, but
As am I.
I'm going to go see this because I'm a big fan.
All right, it brings us to trivia. Brad, you're our guest. You get to choose if you want to go first or let Matt go first, okay? Now, there are steals, and Brad, if you get hung up on any questions, you get one Fill Me In Phil. Phil has clues to all the questions. So, again, in honor of game night, we're playing Rachel McAdams, Jason Bateman movie trivia. And they do start off easy, Brad.
Yeah, I'll definitely go first.
Okay. Question number 1, Brad, in Rachel McAdams, Jason Bateman movie trivia. Brad, in 2009, Rachel McAdams starred in this Guy Ritchie directed film that also starred Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. Name it.
Sherlock Holmes.
1-0, Brad. Question 2 over to Matt K. Matt, Rachel McAdams has starred in one film directed by Cameron Crowe. The movie also starred Emma Stone, Bradley Cooper. Name it.
Is it that? Trying to think if it was a real turkey.
It was.
May have ruined Cameron Crowe's career. Oh, man, I can't come up with the name of it. Like,
oh, boy.
It's something with Hawaii. I don't know. Hawaii 5-0.
Brad, you got a chance for a steal. Rachel McAdams, Cameron Crowe movie. Do you know the name of it?
I'm not. No, I can't remember the name of it, but I do. That was the one where they cast Emma Stone as the Hawaiian, right? Yeah.
We were looking for The Brady Bunch Goes to Hawaii. No,
come on.
Yeah, nice.
We're looking for Aloha.
Yes.
But,
How
am I right
innocuous.
though?
How did we not remember that?
Because it's a total piece of crap. I mean, seriously, may have flushed Cameron Crowe's career down the toilet. Have you heard nothing? Where's this guy been?
Yeah, all right, we'll see. 1-0, Brad. Question 3 back over to him. Brad, in 2016, Jason Bateman voiced a fox in this animated movie. Name it.
Zootopia? Real quick, Cameron Crowe is married to a member of Heart, so he's still winning as far as I'm concerned.
Hey,
I believe so.
He already won. I mean, you can't take that away from him.
Speaking of winning, it's 2-0, Brad. Question 4 now over to Matt K. Matt, in 2015, Rachel McAdams starred in Southpaw as Maureen Hope, who played her husband, the boxer Billy Hope, in the film. Rachel McAdams and who in Southpaw?
Russell Crowe? Seems like the type of guy who would play a boxer, though.
Brad, you got a chance for a steal and to take a commanding 3-0 lead. Do you know who starred
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes. In fact, it was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Did not see that one.
3-0, Brad. It's a slaughter at this point. Question 5 is over to him. Brad, in 2013, Jason Bateman starred in the movie Identity Thief. Who co-starred with him as Dawn Budgie, the woman who stole his identity?
I don't know.
You do have a fill me in, Phil, if you need a clue.
Fill me in, Phil.
Whoa, fill me in, Phil. Question 5, Phil. Who starred with Jason Bateman in Identity Thief?
Your clue is she was one of the bridesmaids in 2011.
Man. Rose Byrne?
Matt, you got a chance for a steal here.
Yeah, no, and I can see the poster with half of their faces on either side, and she is the she was also in Melissa McCarthy.
Matt is on the board.
I knew I just had to talk it out.
There you go. It is 3-1, and question 6 now over to Matt K. Matt, Jason Bateman has appeared in one movie with George Clooney. It came out in 2009. Name it.
Fill me in, Phil.
Whoa! Question 6. Jason Bateman, George Clooney. What was the name of that movie, Phil?
Your clue, Matt. There's lots of flying in this movie.
Was he in Up in the Air?
Wow, don't call it a comeback here. Matt K brings it to 3-2. We got a ball game here, Brad. Question 7 is over to you. In 2014, Rachel McAdams starred with Philip Seymour Hoffman, Willem Dafoe, and Robin Wright in a movie about trying to catch a Muslim scholar suspected of financing terrorists.
Most Wanted Man?
It's over, Matt. 4-2.
Brad knows his stuff.
He does. 4-2. Well done. Last question of the game. Save some face here, Matt. Question 8. Jane Fonda has played Jason Bateman's mom in one movie. It came out in 2014. Name it.
Oh, man. I know this movie. I've seen it. It's kind of funny. I'm blanking. Give me a hint. Come on. Throw me a bone.
No. Because
it would be too much of a giveaway or something? Come on. Come up with something.
This is going to leave you clueless.
I can fill him in.
Yeah? Fill him in.
Kylo Ren was in this movie.
Okay. What else you got? Another clue on there?
That's nothing.
All right.
All right. What is it? I don't know.
This is where I leave you.
Never would have come up with that.
Told you. I know. Brad wins this one 4-2. If it came down to a jawbreaker, this question would have been over to Brad. This would have been the tiebreaker, Brad. Better actor, Jason Bateman or Rachel McAdams?
Oh. Crud. I don't know. I think they're both great. They both do things. I'd go Rachel McAdams simply because I've seen her have a little bit more dexterity. I mean,
Still wrong.
Jason Bateman, really?
Yeah,
I mean, he kind of does that thing.
All he does is Jason Bateman. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did you guys see Dirty Words though? The Scrabble movie he made.
Yes, with the little kid.
Yeah, or is it a spelling bee? It's a spelling bee movie, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, him and Natalie Portman. All right. The real jawbreaker was this: age of Jane Fonda, closest to.
Oh my God.
Jane Fonda?
Yeah, Jane Fonda.
Oh man.
Matt, you got to guess?
She ain't no Barbarella anymore. Let's say she is 73 years old.
Lock him in at 73. Brad, you got a guess on Jane Fonda?
Oh boy. 65.
Guys, the big 80. 80 years old for Jane Fonda.
Wow.
And she looks fantastic for 80.
Yes, she does.
She
Yes,
really does.
Absolutely. You
I
can't
mean,
take, yes.
Think
that's-
about this. Brad is thinking she's a young 65. She's 80, 15 years older than Brad's guess. So
That's crazy.
that's saying.
I mean, yeah, because Barbarella was in the 60s. She's been around.
Yeah. Brings us to the end of a great jaw here, man.
How about it?
Oh, man, I hate to see these things go. First and foremost, we got to thank our guest, Brad, from calling in from Mexico. Thanks for coming on the jaw.
You're welcome, guys. It was fun.
Best of luck with the movies, and you got to come back on sometime.
I will, absolutely. Have a great night, guys.
Yeah, definitely. Matt, we also got to thank the sponsors.
Yeah, thanks to all the sponsors and the Chicago Podcast Co-op who helps us get those sponsors.
Plus, we got to thank Filmy and Phil.
Thank you.
I love
Well,
it.
that was good, Phil. Well
It
done.
was always good stuff. Man, Jawheads, if you're listening to this and you want to help us out, I swear, if you leave us a review on iTunes, those reviews actually do help attract new listeners.
And you know what? We might even read them on the show,
So please, leave us a review there.
Yeah, we'd like to, and make it an honest review. Even if you don't like something, you want us to do something better, put it on iTunes
If
for
you
us.
absolutely can't stand Phil and his giggling, let us know.
Or Ryan is Art House Mania.
Or Matt and his capes.
We want to hear about it.
Yeah. Until next week, I'm Ryan the Movie Guy.
I'm Matt Kay, and keep on jawing about the movies.
Again, in honor of game night, we're playing Rachel McAdams' Jason Bateman movie trivia. And they do start off easy, Brad.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. Brad? Brad.
Oh, God. Hello?